changed. So there used to be something called a good faith estimate
Correct.
and a HUD 1.
Yes.
Is that still in existence?
Well, they're going to be rolled into these new documents. So they're currently in existence, but they're going to be phased out for any purchase that is initiated or any loan application that's initiated after October 30th.
So no, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
The good faith estimate in the past was just that. It was an estimate.
That was your kind of first exposure that the consumer would see in terms of what documentation they would get about the loan they were about to enter into.
Okay, but the estimate that they're giving now in the new documentation is a little bit different. It's a little bit more...
A little more involved, yes.
Yes.
There's some new information on there. That's what the loan estimate, the first piece of the puzzle, will replace the good faith estimate. So I know there's a lot of estimates in there, but one of the items on there will be the amount of interest that's paid as a percentage of the overall amount of money that's repaid. So consumers can see how much interest they're paying over the life of a 30-year mortgage.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a high number for sure, but if they looked and did the math themselves, they'd arrive at the same number. So it's not like it was ever hidden before, but it's now just spelled out a little more clearly.
And a little bit more accurately, too.
Yes, well, the tolerances for accuracy, well, I mean, yes and no, because what the documents are kind of codifying and instituting are really kind of some of the same rules that are already in place. Because if you change the annual percentage rate on a loan over a certain amount already, you need to go through a redisclosure. And these documents just make that redisclosure clearer and easier for the borrower to see.
Why? Why did they change this?
I think that when you look at all of the disclosures that a borrower gets when they enter into a mortgage, there's a slew of documentation that comes, and that's by law. We have to disclose all these facts and figures to them. Now, that can get confusing to the average consumer as they're going through and just signing stuff and not really reading it. These documents take a lot of that and condense it and combine it and make it kind of very laid out very logically in terms of the amount of money you're borrowing, the terms, the interest rate, and it just allows it to be, I think, more easily digested and easier to refer to. So if most people don't have questions right away, they may just say, okay, sign it, get it done, and then they go, wait a minute, let me go back and look. And it's very easy to find all the information necessary on the forms.
So the CFPB basically just wants to make sure that there's no surprises for the consumer.
I think that's it. I mean, this is obviously a product of the mortgage crisis that we all went through back in the 2006, 2007, 8, 9 was kind of the follow through, and I think that there were some confusing aspects to it, and I think it's a good thing for consumers. I really think this makes a lot of sense and will help a lot of people understand the process better.
Well, you're talking about transparency, which is great as far as a consumer issue. I think that the biggest issue was in this area where the borrower would have no idea as soon as maybe a day or so before the closing, because they didn't have the title bill. The bank did not, through its attorneys, get the net proceeds, shall we say, to the buyer's attorney. So through no fault of their own, these buyers are walking around stressing. Maybe their stuff is on the back of a truck. They're making promises to their realtor, through the realtor to the other party. How much money do I need to bring to closing? I experienced that tons of times, and you really just had to wait to get title numbers. So it yes, avoids surprises, which is a real negative thing, but it also makes it really enables the borrower to have quite a bit of advance notice.
Oh, absolutely. Same as you, Scott. I got into the mortgage business by virtue of being a real estate attorney. So doing closings, I can't tell you how many times we get to the morning of a closing or at the closing table, and a new HUD has been issued, and we have to go through the signatures on 8 new documents because the bank changed something at the last minute, or there was an issue that had to be addressed. And like you said, that really creates a lot of stress for the consumer because they're trying to get everything lined up. They're trying to move. I mean, moving is one of the 5 most stressful events that any one person will encounter in their life. And that's the crux of what we're doing in a real estate transaction. You're moving from one home into another one. And so, yeah, getting it early, being able to digest what it means, how much money, okay, where do I get the money from? What accounts am I pulling it from? These are all
stressful part I want to say is, in this area, the realtors are not involved in that process. So they love this realtor. They showed them 14 million houses. They know when their kid's birthday is, and they couldn't turn to the realtor because it was simply in the important attorney's hands. The attorneys don't have the title or the net proceeds. Really had no one to turn to. So this advance notice should be a real boon. I think it should make mortgage companies look good, maybe for a change, that they're giving this advance notice.
Well, yeah, and you know, I kind of have to say, I was a little disappointed personally when they moved the October. It was originally supposed to be August 1st. So now they moved it to October 3rd. You know, we as a company have been gearing up for this for months, and I think that's where the real solutions lie. And you know, our approach is to get these documents prepared as soon as we can in the process, or start preparing them, so that by the time we get a clear to close from our clearing department, our closing department says, okay, you're clear to close this loan, we're going to be ready to have those documents on there, available for the consumer, for the closing agent, and for the attorneys available as well.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to break. If you're a listener and you'd like to join in on the conversation, or you have a question, call us at 914-693-5700. That's 914-693-5700.
Opening up in January.